I mean, starting from like I had my water break at some point and then being in the hospital, I apparently tested positive for COVID. So I think the program definitely helped me being very calm, what those first moments with the baby should be all
Mm,
about. And I
yes.
think that's something that was remarkable and I could have only done with you. Like it was magical. And it's funny because I have no pictures. I would have otherwise just been like taking pictures on my phone, and I completely do not regret that. The baby is like listening to every small detail that you're talking about. So,
Was she a very
yeah,
fussy baby?
touch wood, she did okay because everyone was asking like, how are you traveling with such a small baby?
What would be the highlight of whole experience?
And I felt like I saw a glimpse of her face. Like this time for
Mm-hmm.
real, this time I'm actually holding her and
Wow.
everything. And for me, it was like, okay, this is like a deja vu because I have seen this
Yeah.
in my visualization.
I'm really happy that we've been joined by Himanshi, and she's one of our super moms, and we did a super baby program with her. So Himanshi, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Harleen. Thank you so much for having me today. I know we've been looking forward to doing this for such a long time. My baby is already 10 months. Time does fly really fast, but yes, I'm happy to be here and chat with you on the wonderful experience that I had. I think we connected regarding the program in my last trimester, so it was my last couple of months being pregnant. I mean, in short, it was fabulous and a full time, and I was always looking forward to talking to you while I knew that you yourself had a baby who was then 4 months. But yeah, still I always feel gratitude to you to have given me the time and the inputs that you did back then.
Thank you so much for this humble
Of course.
beginning. But Himanshi, tell us, before we connected, so you had this idea of that, how do you connect with the baby? How you have to talk to the baby, communication with the child when the child is in the womb. Did you have an idea about this?
I was reading up on a lot of literature. I was reading up quite some books around, especially during the pregnancy. First, I read a lot about just being healthy, physically, like eating well, exercising, all of that. And eventually, I started to gravitate towards more like spiritually, how do you connect with the child? But I'll be very honest, before I started the program with you, it wasn't coming very naturally to me. So it felt a little bit like, artificial when people would say, oh, sing to your baby or like talk to your baby or have your husband talk to the baby. And we were both, my husband and I were like, yes, of course, we are excited that our baby is coming, but it just sometimes felt a little bit like deliberate to do that.
I get that.
So I think of course I was making sure I have good thoughts. I was making sure I was praying, because I think praying was my way of like communicating with the baby, or just listening, for example, to any Shabad or Satsang or like Gayatri month. So that was kind of my way of communicating with the baby in
I think that's beautiful. I think that's beautiful. But tell me, so you had an idea of you have to connect to the child. But how did things change for you when you did this this program where we focused firstly upon making you bond with your baby on a very, very deep level?
So when I signed up for the program with you, and I think and it's one of my brightest or most beautiful memories of the program that we did together was the guided meditations that you basically like led me through. I think those were where I felt like I was actually communicating with the baby really for the first time during my entire pregnancy, and I think that was magical. And my only wish at that point was like, I wish we had connected regarding this earlier during the pregnancy and not really in the last trimester. So I think that changed for sure, where I did feel, and one thing that I have to mention over here, because it just meant so much to me, actually it still does. You did say that you can tell the baby that the baby can choose when he or she wants to come, or you can sort of say, okay, let's think about a date, and why don't you come on this date. So my baby was due on the 2nd of June, but I'm born like, so my birthday is the 14th, and so it's 1 plus 4 5. And I just felt like, oh, it would be nice if she comes on the 5th, because then 14 and 5, like they sound together. And on 2nd, I was still pregnant, and everyone was calling and saying, hey, wasn't it your due date today? Like, what's happening? And no sign of her. Like, I knew the gender already, but yeah, so no sign of her. I was still going for my prenatal class. My parents were here, so we went out for lunch. And then she actually came on the 5th. Can you believe it?
Wow. So that's kind of a communication, that
Yes. And
happens,
I
intuitively
think
happens between the mother and the child. It's like a
I think
two-way communication.
yeah, no, but yeah, you're right. It's a two-way communication. It's intuitive. But I think because of the collaboration that I had with you on the program, it was a conscious, and this is why we call it conscious pregnancy, because I think it was conscious in that intuitive sense that while it was just a desire for me that, oh, it'll be nice, because then, it's like the number is the same, it's number 5 or whatever, but I think you kind of drove me to think like that because you were the only one who said, let her decide when she wants to come. Because I mean, I don't live in India, but I know that in India, people have like C-sections on certain dates or on, certain time. That wasn't my idea. I always wanted to have a natural delivery. And that's the other thing that I really liked, when we spoke, and we both, and you and I were very high on, making sure it's like a smooth, natural delivery. But I remember that when we were wrapping up our last session, and it was like the 1st of June or just a day or two before my due date, actually. And you said that, look, we have done everything, and, we will hope that it's as natural as it gets, it's smooth and it's safe. But also, then at the end, you told me, like, be flexible because not everything is in our control. And this is what happened when we ended up in a situation where I had to be, I was in labor for many hours, and then eventually it was an emergency. I had to surrender, and it was like, I won't say that it was easy. It was a traumatic moment, but at least I could come out of it, much faster than other women may have managed to come out of it.
How was it different to birth consciously?
So I think the program definitely helped me being very calm during the entire process of, starting from, like, I had my water break at some point and then being in the hospital. And actually, just to add to, the mix of suspense over here, I apparently tested positive for COVID while I was in labor. So it was, another element of that I could have potentially panicked because, giving birth is like one of the biggest moments of a woman's life. But I think just because I had this training or this, like guidance a couple of months into coming into delivery, I was pretty calm, to be honest. Like, and I was actually just quite enjoying being in the moment. And yeah, at some point the labor got really hard, but then the breathing, and also I was practicing a lot of like yoga before going in. So both the meditative practice I had with you and the physical practice I had, and my husband was with me throughout, the process. So all of the support and everything really came together at that point where I did not feel a sense of panic. Actually, I felt pretty calm, and I felt like we were communicating and the baby is doing all right. And also, this is where I think your program really helped because you had actually prepared me, and then I had prepared my husband on what those first moments with the baby should be all about. And I think that's something that was remarkable, and only, I could have only done with you, because otherwise, you're right, we don't think about it. We get so crazy, like, okay, let's bring out the phone, let's do FaceTime, let's take a picture. Nothing, like, just focus on, in the moment. Like,
how was it?
I have to say, it was magical, honestly. Like, I remember every moment of it. And it's funny because I have no pictures, and everyone was like, oh, photo bhejo, and I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm here, it's my baby, it's my husband, like the father of the baby. This is my family, and this is what I want to focus on. And I think that memory will, like, hopefully stay with me for a whole lifetime, because we were so focused on the moment. And I think this is I owe this to the program and to you, of course, because you really helped me shift the mindset to prepare in such a way of being more mindful of the baby's presence. And since then, I've been reading a lot, and everywhere it confirms what you did in the program. Is like the first few minutes or the first few hours, the baby is like listening to every small detail that you're talking about. So you want to make sure that it's the best possible things in the world that you say to them.
Yes, as I understand from what you're saying is that when the baby arrived, you had consciously prepared for those, mindful moments together. So what did you do?
Yes.
Did you like read out, or did you just simply, welcomed her with all your presence and all your love? What was it like?
So
or did you write that note? I remember we've done that with you.
Yes. So that's it, So you had prepared me in terms of being mindful on on how do you welcome the baby, or what is it that you want to say to the baby. So there were a few things. So I had written like a long note that I mean, I was so overwhelmed because I was also coming out of a big surgery. So I was really overwhelmed to actually, say things. But then I had the letter written down, and then I made my husband read it because, we were the three of us. So he read it. I had written it. It was great. Then I had some mantras which were really important for me personally in my faith that I wanted to like say to her. So those were the ones that I said, and then my husband had something he wanted to
Wow.
say. I think it was really made mindful, extra mindful by the coaching that you gave me, because I would have otherwise just been like taking pictures on my phone, and I completely do not regret that.
And it's worth it, isn't it?
Yeah, oh, big time, big time. I mean, yeah, the only thing I was thinking, okay, maybe I could have had a picture of her when she was like 1 hour old, but it's fine. I have pictures of her when she's 5 hours old. So, she doesn't look much
No,
different.
surely. But
But
the
for
moment
me,
that you
yeah, I mean,
created would,
yeah,
would live with you
it's,
and would live with her forever. That would
yeah,
change.
yeah, yeah,
You would have, I don't know,
yeah,
but you are a better judge probably. You would have seen that in her developing, the sense of security, that the sense of faith that she has with you and her
yeah,
father. You know,
yeah,
you would
yeah,
not have
yeah,
probably faced too much of difficulty in when you had to put her to a day school. She would understand things because her
yeah,
sense of security, her sense of fulfillment was being taken
true.
care of. So was she a very
Yeah.
fussy baby?
Yeah, I think she did all right. So we traveled a lot actually with her in the first 6 months. We already traveled to some like we were both on. I was on maternity leave. My husband had a long paternity leave. We traveled across Southeast Asia. We were in India.
Wow.
We were hopping every now and then. And touch wood, she did okay because everyone was asking like, how are you traveling with such a small
Mm.
baby? I think she was 3.5 months when we started traveling, and until 7.5 months or 4 months, we were pretty much living out of a suitcase, all the
I
three of
think I
us.
think she's done excellently, exceedingly well.
And to coming back to your question, had it been like a very fussy baby, maybe, it would have
You
been
will not.
extremely challenging. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
4, are you talking about 4 months? You'll be back in 4 days.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. And then, we were changing time zones. We were changing,
Mm.
like, we were staying in a hotel, then we were staying at home, then we were staying in a dharamshala in Rishikesh. So we were staying
Mm.
in like all sorts of
All around.
accommodations. Yeah, yeah. And she did all right. Yeah. So thankfully, it was quite cool. Yeah.
So that's amazing. So that's brilliant. So okay, so Himanshi, tell us what would be, if I had to ask you, what would be the highlight of the whole, not only your whole experience, like during pregnancy or with the program or when Pavishka was born?
So I remember one of the visualizations that I did with you. So this was like a guided meditation that you had taken me through. And I think it was during that meditation that I mean, this is obviously when I was pregnant, so I didn't see what she looked like. But during this meditation, I felt like I saw a glimpse of her face,
Hmm.
which for me is a very big deal because I'm not like a very spiritually evolved person. Like, some people say, "Oh, मेरे को तो दिख गया था अपनी meditation में कि ऐसा हो रहा है वैसा हो रहा है." मुझे कभी ऐसा कुछ दिखता नहीं है. But I think it was the first time that I actually felt like I saw a glimpse of her face. And the
Hmm.
way I saw it was that, I mean, in that, meditative moment or in that visualization exercise, I
Hmm.
saw that I was holding her and she's breastfeeding, and then like she's looking at me with a corner of her eye. And she's maybe like a few weeks old or something, or a few days old.
Hmm.
And then, I mean, like, seriously, that exact same thing happened like after she was born a few days later. That same image or that same picture came in front, like this time for real.
Hmm.
This time I'm actually holding her and
Wow.
everything. And uh, and for me it was like, okay, this is like a deja vu because I have seen this
Yeah.
in my visualization.
That's actually, like, amazing. That's like when you feel, oh God, really? I mean, like, really, am I that meditative? Am I that
Ah,
powerful?
is
But you know what? But you
exactly.
know what? That's the beauty of pregnant woman, and we don't hardly
Huh,
realize it. It is not because
true.
who you are; it's because you are pregnant. It is by
Yeah,
God's design that you
yeah,
are in that space. That even if you meditate a bit, you reach to a level of those great meditators, and you can have these communications through visuals, and you can see in the future, which we call it as deja vu, but those were little glimpses
yeah,
of what's coming for you, in
true,
the
true.
future, so that the baby was kind of communicating the lovely times that you're going to be having together. So it's a different realm. It's just, and something that can only be felt, and probably can never be explained.
So I think that's also one of the things you told me in one of our first sessions was, the fact the baby in the tummy and also the mother are in this very evolved state of consciousness that you cannot attain as a normal human being unless you are like a sadhu sant kind of a person. And I think the other thing that I really had fun doing, I have to mention that, is the mandala coloring. I still am figuring out like how it actually translates into something more like tangible, let's say. But I think the whole exercise just gave me so much joy, and just got me a lot of calm and peace. And then, I mean, like, seriously, that exact same thing happened like after she was born a few days later. That same image, or that same picture came in front, like this time for real. This time I'm actually holding her and everything. And for me it was like, okay, this is like a deja vu, because I have seen this in my visualization.
So that was it. It's very powerful for sure.